Hello, my name is Robert Wolff.
And I'm Gabriel Peterson.
And you are watching Innovation Coffee. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Innovation Coffee, brought to you by ARM. Once again, my name is Robert Wolff.
And I'm Gabriel Peterson.
And today, we have a very exciting episode planned for you. But first, Gabe, I think I want to just cheers some coffee to you because it's been a long week, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'm still not recovered, that's for sure.
I know, yeah. So last week, we were at OpenSauce, and it was an amazing event. This is something we're going to summarize shortly. We have Michael Hall on the call as well, who we will be bringing in just a moment. As you know, Michael Hall, one of our other Innovation Coffee co-hosts. Now, before we dive into this segment, not only are we talking about OpenSauce in the first few minutes and going over all the cool stuff we did, but we will also be meeting with Christopher Zeidel, who is joining us as Director of Product Management of Embedded Tools from ARM. So one of our colleagues at ARM, which is pretty cool. Yeah. We rarely get to interview folks from ARM, and I think it's really fun to learn about all the cool stuff happening, around inside of ARM. So this is going to be a really cool episode. Now, we have some questions lined up for him. We have some topics to discuss. But before we do that, I would like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this live stream, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the ARM Software Developers YouTube channel. And we will see you next week if you do, because we're here every single week at 5 p.m. UTC. I'm going to take one more sip of coffee. Delicious. All right. So let's bring Michael Hall into the call real quick. We have Christopher waiting for us in the green room, so let's not take too long. Michael, Gabe, let's talk about. Hello, hey, Michael. Oh, you got the banner behind you. That's cool.
Yeah, I got this in right before I left for OpenSauce, actually. So.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Yeah, too bad. I don't think that QR. Oh, you have the same banner as us then. I don't think that QR code is scannable though. It's too far.
Neither is ours.
Yeah, neither is ours.
We could put the link up though.
Yeah, we can put the link up. We'll put it up in just a minute. So, Michael, I want to start with you. Let's really quickly, maybe a minute each, right? OpenSauce. Let's talk about this. Tell me what you thought about OpenSauce.
You want us to summarize OpenSauce in a minute or less? Like this was a huge show. There was so much going on.
Yes, it's going to be tough. Yeah. So let's go 1 minute.
So for me, it was how many different robots there were. Like there was the whole BattleBots thing too, but even aside from all of the BattleBots that were there was just a number of robots everywhere you went, going down the halls and the exhibitor booths, wheeled robots, flying robots, walking robots, just so many different robotic things there. More than I've ever seen in one place. So like for me, that was really cool. It's almost like what you see in futuristic movies where everyone's got a pet robot. We saw was it Alex who had the little Fennec box that
the companion bot.
Like,
and this is
it just kind of felt like we were living in the future a little bit while we were there.
A bit of a dystopian future in that we were also all together in a warehouse, which kind of felt a little
wearing the same t-shirts and everything.
Wearing the same t-shirts. Now, just so you know, I guess we kind of skipped this, but for those of you who weren't aware, OpenSauce is a live event, in-person event that happened in San Francisco last week or over the weekend on Saturday the 15th and 16th. And this was or 16th and 17th. Either way, Saturday and Sunday.
15th and 16th.
15th and 16th at Pier 35. Now, this was run by a series of creators, YouTube creators, as well as I believe they teamed up with the X Maker Faire event team. So it was a very, in my opinion, very well organized, very well thought out, and very interesting and fun and informative and just overall exciting event that we got to play a part in. ARM had a booth and we showcased some demos. Mike had a demo, Gabriel had a demo. We had the developer program up and running, lots of giveaways, lots of cool stuff. Gabe, 1 minute from you. Let's burn it out.
I mean, like Michael, that's tough. So I guess the biggest takeaway for me is the BattleBots. That's kind of what I latched on to in my minuscule amount of free time. I was able to escape from the booth that's where I went and watched everything, and it was just so much fun. And now I want to do that, and we will try.
We
to
will.
do that.
BattleBots, Team Arm. Yeah.
But yeah, in addition to that, it's just all the amazing creators that came by our booth and were actually interested in talking to us. So we didn't have to do the mall kiosk, like interrupting people's conversations and things. Like, they actually came to us and wanted to talk to us, and they were just, I mean, from all walks of development. It was just amazing. Everything from quantum computing all the way down to hobbyist programming on their own microcontrollers and kind of everything in between. It was just,
It was a
so much
blast.
fun. Yeah.
Now, just to go over this, we did have 4 episodes last week. So we had our regularly scheduled Thursday episode, and this was with Pranay Bakra of ARM office in San Jose, where we talked about the new Microsoft Azure offering. We also talked about CICD. I'm thinking CNC because of BattleBots. We talked about CICD and how in a presentation, in fact, Pranay gave us a presentation that he presented a more distilled version of it during this show. And it was the presentation he gave during Open Source Summit, not Open Sauce, Open Source Summit up in Vancouver this year. So it was a nice compact episode filled with a lot of, I think, great things that Pranay has done. I would definitely suggest checking that out, but I forgot to put the banner in here. But I did put the banner to 3 other interviews that we did during Open Sauce. And so we have the interview with Michael Reeves. Michael Reeves is a content creator on YouTube. Amazing guy. I had a lot of fun interviewing him. I think that was you and me, Gabe, right?
Yeah, it was.
That was a fun one.
Mhm.
We also have the interview with Colin Furs. This was an interview that Gabriel and Michael had with Colin Furs, another huge YouTube personality. And finally, we had Sean Hodgins. Unfortunately, I'm going to say it, we did interview a Stephanie and the audio was messed up. So we're trying to figure out how we can possibly redo that interview or fix those things.
Yeah, it turns out that video for these events is very easy. Audio is just the most annoying, difficult thing. Like, whatever like professional studios are paying their audio engineers and their audio guys, it's not enough. It's so tough.
Yeah. We've already gone through 3 iterations of our audio. Okay, though, I do think it is time for us to bring in our guest. This is Christopher Zeidel from ARM, who is the Director of Product Management and Embedded Tools. Now, Christopher is going to talk in this session. He's going to introduce us to the new MDK version 6 Community Edition and talk about this tool, how it uses CMSIS workflows in Microsoft Visual Studio, VS Code, and how it is available online and offline. It's a tool that's available online and offline, among several other topics that we will be discussing. And we have a bunch of questions lined up for Christopher. So I think it's time to bring Christopher onto the call. Michael, would you mind tapping that button for me?
Yep.
I'm going to pop the screen. All right. Hey, welcome, Christopher. How are you?
Hello, folks.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm always very grateful when anyone joins us. It sounds like, oh, we're having this fun live stream. It's a casual talk. I'd imagine that our guests have fun, but at the same time, it's a lot to put an hour out of your day to come onto here. So, we really appreciate you doing this for us.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I mean, it's quite late over where I am. So I'm located in Germany. So it's already 7 p.m. My wife is bringing the kids to bed. So yeah.
Maybe you got out of it though. We got you out of that.
Yeah, it's usually my duty. But today I said I'm talking to Robert and Gabe and Michael. I cannot do it. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate that. So, Christopher, I think before we dive into the topic, right, which is this new release, this community edition of the MDK version 6, let's first get to know you. Who are you? Who is Christopher Zeidel, and what do you do at ARM?
Who's Christopher Zeidel? It's I'm an electrical engineer by after studying in Germany, and I started my professional career actually in hardware at a small Japanese company called Toshiba. They did ASIC development by that time as a foundry service, basically. And there I had actually the first contact with ARM technology, where one of our customers asked us to put this strange hard macro called ARM7 TDMI onto the silicon. And we said, but why do you want to do that? We have a super nice TX RISC core, so why would you ever do that? And the rest is history. So then I had a couple of job changes and finally ended up in Munich. And 10 years ago, I joined ARM, actually working for Reinhard Keil, I think, who was your guest a couple of weeks ago, right?
Honestly, I love that
Yeah.
guy. Reinhard was so much fun to interview.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. So you got a lot to live up to there, Christopher.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend, as I always introduce him. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah.
One thing I want to touch on here, I love hearing from folks that work at ARM and say that they've been here for as long as you have 10 years, 15 years, 30 years. You start talking to folks, you're like, these day and age, people are jumping companies every, 3 to 5 years and stuff. And to just hear that folks are sticking around with ARM, I love it. I mean, I think ARM's amazing.
I've worked at companies that haven't even been around 10 years, so nobody was there that long.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you said, I actually started in my career. 5 years was already long, 3 to 5 years, something like that. But then, yeah, I found the right place. So I'm really happy to.
Very good to hear.
Yeah.
And you are a studied electrical engineer, you say?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Me too, actually. I did electrical engineering. I had an emphasis on digital signal processing. Where you studied, did they also do like a breadth and a depth? Like, did you depth in engineering?
I especially did VLSI technologies, so VHDL coding, things like that. So that's
cool.
Why I say my background is actually from hardware, and then gradually moved over to software.
Awesome. Awesome.
But I can use both at ARM, so it's really good.
There you go. So let's kind of, I guess, begin diving into this. And just like we do kind of the origin story of for you, we also kind of want to know the origin story for what you're going to talk about, because people who are going to be listening to this or watching this, let's start with kind of any acronyms you may be using, high level explanation of the talk. And I kind of went over the abstract, but let's just make sure that if we're going to be referring to anything, let's clear the air off the bat.
Yeah.
So maybe you could just start off by filling us in, high level, bird's eye view. What is this segment about?
Yeah, I would be talking about our new development, I would say, system, because it's really changing the way how embedded developers can work. And we call it MDK version 6. And talking about acronyms, MDK stands for the Microcontroller Development Kit, a very long name. And up until this version 6, MDK always equaled what we call Microvision. Microvision is actually the IDE that Reinhard and his team created a very long time ago, over 20 years old. And I mean, horses get old, and so do IDEs. And this Microvision thing has kind of come to an end. It's a Windows-only tool. And we all know that. I mean, I actually work on a Mac today. And Reinhard first said, are you sure you want to do that? I said, yeah, I want to use awesome technology. So MDK version 6 changes this paradigm here, because we have now multi-host OS support, like we support Linux, Mac OS, and Windows systems. And with this VS Code integration, I think basically Reinhard and Mark Goodner were talking about a couple of weeks. So this is now ready for prime time, ready to hit the street. And together with our online tool, Keil Studio Cloud, which is basically the same thing, just it runs in your browser and doesn't need any installation. It's a really cool thing. Yeah.
Very nice. Awesome. Okay. So then let's talk about the Microcontroller Development Kit, MDK V6, and what's new. And then, of course, like we're working our way down, right? We have some questions coming up, but let's just work our way down the line here. So what's new with the Microcontroller Development Kit V6?
Yeah. So apart from what I just said, it's like multi-host OS and a new IDE. And by the way, for maybe the listeners who are using Microvision today and say, oh my God, Microvision is going out of business. No. So as I said, we need to kind of rethink how we talk. Previously, it was MDK equals Microvision. Now MDK is much more. It contains Microvision, of course, but it contains also the Keil Studio Cloud. It contains Keil Studio, the VS Code extensions. We have a much better CLI support. MDK was always very bad at command line interfacing and scripting and things like that. And the main big change is that under the hood, actually, things that the customers don't see directly, or the users, it's we are now building up on the CMSIS toolbox. And again, another acronym, CMSIS or CMSIS or whatever. It's the Common Microcontroller Software Interface Standard. a thing that was invented also here by the team by the time that the ARM Cortex M3 became popular. And we saw that many of the silicon partners started to roll their own with regards to software. And we saw a need to streamline a little bit here. And since then, CMSIS has become a really big thing. And I think 2 years ago, it was always open source, but we went even open governance under Linaro. And the project is now called Open CMSIS Pack. And there we basically teamed with NXP and ST Microelectronics, for example, to create a new way of building software and working with CMSIS packs and the likes. And this basically ended up in the CMSIS toolbox that we are using under the hood for our tools. So it's really easy to move from IDE supported development just onto CLI flows, having that on GitHub in your actions or whatever, on your own on-prem CI/CD systems, whatever.
Is the CMSIS toolbox, is that new to version 6, or did that exist before and has just become expanded in version 6?
No, it actually it was released 1 week before version 6. So it's really, although it says it's CMSIS Toolbox 2.0, but it's this is the actual first release that is production ready. And as I said, it was just released a week ago, and now we're using that in MDK version 6 as well.
Okay, cool. So definitely people who are using version 5 should check out version 6 and learn how to use the new toolbox to.
Yeah.
Okay. So something that I think needs to be addressed here, and I'm sure it looks like on the topics, I think we're going to get to this, but after going to GDC, Game Developers Conference, for those of you who don't know that acronym, and being at different other events, I've noticed that developers out there seem to look at ARM in a way that is associated with us gating access to various tools or software. Now, it's become slowly more apparent to me over time that ARM has made a very strong effort in making these tools available to the community more easily, reducing some of this gating, reducing some of the pricing, and making sure that developers can get access on a more free to use basis if you're not using it in a commercial sense. Now, I may be wrong in terms of what we're going to be talking about today, but could you just shine some light into access to the tools that you've been talking about right now? How do developers get access to it? What do they have to do in order, to enjoy it and be able to use this to its full potential? And then maybe that transition, if there is one, from being a community developer to actually using it commercially.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We were the same. Keil MDK or Microvision by that time, we had always a free-to-use version which was called MDK Lite, but it had a very nasty code size restriction to 32 kilobyte, which is, for microcontrollers is not too bad, but let's be honest, in today's world where your IoT stack already consumes double the size, it's just not good anymore. And so this was really a restriction for, let's say, the makers, the hobbyists, the academics, the students out there who, of course, don't want to insert coins into the slot machine. So we came up with the MDK community version, I think, over a year ago. So that was for MDK version 5 already. And now we just continue that with version 6. And access to the tools is quite easy. You have your banner here, keil.arm.com/community. We have a nice page that gives you the details. And actually, as we have now many tools, you can either start by using our online IDE, Keil Studio Cloud, or you just install, or I hope you have already installed VS Code on your machine, and you just install the Keil Studio Pack extension. And once you have that, it automatically pulls a license for the community edition, and here you go. There's no registration needed, nothing. It's done automatically behind the scenes, and off you go.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect, because that's absolutely no gating at all.
Yeah, no gating at all. Just download the package, get going. Cool.
Exactly.
Michael, we've been kind of taking over this conversation. Do you have any questions? Sorry.
So,
you're blocked
I
by
do
the camera
actually,
for me, by the way. Sorry. The way this is looking here.
yeah. So we've been talking about the differences between MDK5 and MDK6 for developers who have been using MDK5 and are already, have their projects in that. What do they have to do to upgrade to 6?
That's actually very easy. We have one kind of little caveat. So you have to have your project already run with or compile with ARM compiler 6, but that has been our default compiler for some time now. And if you have that, if you tick that box, it's really easy because we have a conversion process integrated into this VS Code extension. So you just open a folder with a Microvision projects file, and then it automatically converts it into the new C solution format. And yes, I have written a small learning path on our new learning platform, learn.arm.com, where I describe this, and it's really a no-brainer. And again, the nice thing is you can do that either in the GUI, or if you prefer, do it on the command line. So we have the tools also available as command line tools, and it's pretty easy to use. And you can, so with that, for example, you could kind of batch convert lots of projects that you might have somewhere into the new format, and then continue there.
And I think this is a great time, by the way, Michael, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Cool. So I think this is a great time to plug the ARM developer program and the new ARM developer hub. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this new developer hub, it's arm.com/developer-hub. And Christopher here just kind of made reference to a portion or a section of the developer hub, which is the learning path section. And I think that this is just an amazing area here. It's taken a while for us to kind of catch up with this community collaboration or contribution aspect that developers love so much. And here we are, ARM, this big company, actually now taking contributions from people not only inside of ARM, but outside of ARM. And this is your ability to go check it out, contribute your own learning paths. In fact, Gabe's touched on this, but there's a learning path that teaches you how to create learning paths. Christopher, did you actually check that one out?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really easy.
There's so many cool. I mean, sorry, just to quickly, the learning paths are really easy. It's just writing Markdown files, so it's an absolutely no-brainer. But there's such a couple of very nice features how to style your Markdown in a pretty cool way, and I use that because again, I'm supporting now Linux, Windows, Mac OS, and there I have nice tabs where you can copy the code if you're on Windows, where you copy the code if you're on Linux or on Mac OS. That's really cool.
I want to add to this real quick, though, is that it's not just about you putting your content, on an ARM area, right? I mean, granted, of course, the project you build will get some visibility, but you also kind of get to promote the tools, technologies, and things that you put into that project. So there are sections within this Markdown template that allow you to add, your social links and allow you to add possibly the website to the technology that you consumed in order to build this. Now, granted, this isn't a marketing tool, but it is definitely a way for you to showcase the technologies that you're using while building on ARM. And so this is a great, great tool. And yes, there you go. So this is actually the backend GitHub that gets rendered up into the website, which is, I just think, amazing.
Yeah, and because it's open to the community, one of the things that's really useful is a lot of times you'll see these tutorials or instruction sets posted online, but they're 4 or 5 years ago, and so they're not applicable anymore. So of course, with this being all hosted on GitHub, if you see anything that's out of date, like maybe it's a learning path from a year ago and the steps have slightly changed, you can go and just do your own changes to that and push it to our GitHub. So hopefully our learning paths should all be current consistently.
And that's the idea. Yeah, of course. Cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I know how it is. Yeah, I write application notes, and do I have lots of application notes that are more than 3 years old and don't work anymore? Yes, but it's hard to maintain them. But if you have, of course, the community to check it and then just send in the pull request and here we go. It's really
It's all
cool.
about that like static versus dynamic documentation, right? Like
Yeah.
you can release a blog. Blogs are nice. That's cool. We did this cool project. Let's write a blog about it. But now you could actually add this dynamic component to your blog, or just dynamic component in general by sharing your learning path, because things do change in the tech space. I would
It changes
say,
fast.
especially at fast. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
and like
Yes.
Christopher, I take plenty of notes, and over half of them just aren't useful anymore. They're so out of date. Yeah.
So, Chris, let's talk about this CMSIS toolbox and CLI usage. And I do understand you have a demo for us, so I do want to save time for the demo. We're about 25 minutes into this. I think we have plenty of time.
Yeah.
But so I have the VC package and the CMSIS toolbox and CLI package or usage to cover here. So what would you like to talk about in terms of the CMSIS toolbox and CLI usage?
Maybe we start with VC package, because
Let's
that's
do
the
VC package.
Yeah, okay. That's the underlying technology, and this was what Mark and Reinhard were talking about. It's basically a tool from Microsoft that lets you pull packages or executables, binaries, however you want to call them, from the internet in a very uniform way. So you have kind of
This is similar to like apt-get. Similar to apt-get?
Yeah, it's kind of, but multi-host OS, again, it's
Gotcha.
also available on Mac, on Windows, on Linux. So that's the nice thing. It's uniform. So no matter what platform you are using the same commands. It's all controlled by a very easy to write JSON file. So this JSON file tells you where to look for the tool. So you can enter it's called registries. One of them is, of course, from Microsoft, but we have our own registry now. And then you specify the tools that you want to have. For example, the CMSIS toolbox, or the ARM compiler, or CMake, or Ninja. These are all the things that we are using now in this whole flow. And it's really easy to pull them with VC package. And once you have done that, this is, again, the other cool thing is that you do that only once. VC package saves them on your disk and knows about it. So next time, so for the first time, it's a bit slow. Of course, it has to download huge packages from the internet. But once it has saved them, then the next time it just activates in no time. And this is really cool.
And in my notes, I see I have noted here uniform and reproducible installation. Is this what you referred to in terms of it just running on running across the board on any platform? Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I mean, reproducible is really important today. Yeah, if you want,
it runs on my machine.
Exactly, it runs on my machine. Yeah, and with that you can make sure that it runs the same on all machines.
Awesome.
Of course, you never know if the compiler for the one is absolutely exactly the same, but sometimes they have different bugs. But let's say if the tools are the same, then of course it's really cool to have a uniform installation. I think especially important for CI/CD flows, where let's say you check in your code into your repository, your CI/CD flow kicks off. Maybe a new machine instance is spawned, you download the tools, you install them, you have the same setting as you have on your local developer machine, you run your tests and you get a go, no-go. If you have a no-go, you start debugging. You can go back to your developer machine, you have, again, the same tools. You might see the problem directly, or you start debugging on real hardware or virtual hardware, whatever. So it's really nice going back and forth between this automated development, kind of the more hands-on development, or command line flow. It's really cool.
Cool. And I see Michael has his hand up. We have a private chat.
No, I didn't.
Oh, really? Oh, I saw the one in there. Maybe that was the previous question.
Yeah, that was from before.
Oh, okay, cool. Gabe, did you want to get your question out of the way?
Yeah. It's one of the things I was curious about, because we keep coming back to it on multiple episodes. So I was reading that Keil MDK version 6 has enhanced its integration with the ARM virtual hardware program. And I just wanted to hear more about that.
Yeah, so basically in MDK version 6, it's really easy to use the ARM virtual hardware. It's, again, just another package that you download, and then you can run your simulation directly on your machine, or again in the CI/CD backend. So yeah, the integration is really lean, and especially with the new C solution format, it's much easier to define different targets in the same C solution file. So you can say, I have a virtual hardware target, I have a real, let's say maybe an off-the-shelf development board hardware target, and finally maybe my own custom hardware that I will then finally use in production. So you just have these three entries in the GUI. Of course, there's a drop down. You select one of them, you build the stuff, you run it either in simulation, or you download it to your boards and test it, and in CI/CD, of course. And this is the big advantage. Then in CI/CD, you usually just run it on the simulator, but yeah, you have exactly the same simulator again available.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Did that answer it?
Oh yeah. I was just curious because the ARM virtual hardware program is so useful, and so just any integrations are cool to hear about.
It does come up very often in the show. You know, I think we need to get someone from that team in the call.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Right? Yeah. So Christopher, I think that this is a good time to maybe like take a small little break and go into your demo, if that's okay. Mm-hmm. Because we've talked about it, I think, enough. Unless there's any last things you think that would be useful for anyone watching, us included, to know before you dive into this.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay, cool. So we tested sharing your screen. Let's see if we can get that up here. See a nice little demo of this. I don't think Reinhard shared a demo last time, right? We just talked about it.
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, we went on the webpage and kind of did that. So yeah, as soon as you're ready, Christopher, just let me know and we'll bring you in.
Oh, wait a minute, because I know we tried this, but I was just sharing one of the Chrome tabs, and now I want to share a whole window because let me.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'll show you all what I look like from the computer in front of me.
That's great microphone placement right there.
Yeah.
I know, right? Okay. So yeah, I think while we wait for you to get this set up, maybe or let's just troubleshoot it with you. What's going on? Is it saying that you need to like give access to something? Because I've had to
I gave access to Chrome, but now it says I would need to restart Chrome, which of course keeps
you can ignore. So you can ignore that a lot of times.
Okay.
I've noticed that. Yeah, Mac is really annoying. I get why they do these permission things, but they're really annoying when you're streaming live and you need to do that.
Yeah, you'd have to leave real quick. But let's see if you ignore it and bring it on, or if anything, you could just restart Chrome real quick and come back. That wouldn't hurt. Yeah, why don't you just do that real quick and come back? Me and Michael and Gabe will talk more about OpenSauce.
Okay, perfect. Just give me 1 minute and I'm back.
We'll bring you right back.
Okay. Yeah, so speaking more about it, so I should have done it beforehand, but I went back and I started watching like William Osmond's videos and Alan Pan's videos and things like that. I didn't realize they were all one big group of friends.
Yeah.
Like Michael Reeves and William Osmond were roommates before, and they like do projects where they send each other things. It's like seeing all these videos. We saw Harlan in the video that I shared in the chat.
Harlan was like probably one of the coolest staff members of the event. He came to our booth a million times, and it was just so cool hanging out with him.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, he does a lot of these build things. He wasn't just someone who wanted to help out with the event.
Did any of you guys get his number or contact info?
No, we should have. I regret that. He was cool. He kept coming back to our booth and chatting with us. And
now Michael left.
Oh, well. Yeah, did you watch the video I sent you last night? The William Osmond.
Yeah. Was that you? I thought that was Michael who sent that.
No, I said that.
Okay, yeah. So this guy Harlan, super cool guy, kept hanging out at our booth and told us that he was in certain videos with Will Osmond and all that stuff, and so we went and found him, or Gabe went and found him.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for him. I just happened to be watching, like refamiliarizing myself with the people who actually threw this event.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Right. We're back. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks. So here's the entry page of Keil MDK version 6. It's keil.arm.com, and we have some information about the tools. So you see we have Keil Studio for VS Code, where it tells you about to install the extension pack. you can directly open Keil Studio Cloud, or you can download the good old Keil Microvision. A nice thing about here is this little button down here, the Detect Connected Hardware. And I have brought some hardware with me. It's a Freedom K32 development board from NXP. And I will actually plug that into my machine now.
What was the device you brought in? Could you just show it to us one more time here? I made your camera bigger. What's the hardware?
It's a Freedom K32 from NXP.
I know that board. Nice. I think I have one in the box over here, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a dual core Cortex M4 and Cortex M0 Plus device from NXP, and it's actually one of my favorite boards because it's so small. You can carry it wherever you like, so it's really good. And now so it's connected. You see the LED is on, and I can hit the detect hardware button, and then I already see that here's a DAP link, CMSIS DAP paired, and I connect to it, and it detects the hardware, and it detects that it's this board, NXP Freedom. It detects the device that it's on there, and if I click on this one here, then it directly brings me to the board page. So we have in CMSIS packs, we have, I think, about 450 different development boards supported. And by the way, even more important, just last week we hit the 10K number of supported devices. So we have over 10,000 Cortex M-based microcontroller devices in our device database. So this is pretty awesome. And so on this board page, you see, we have a little banner, which of course tells you, hey, here's something new. Want to try it out? And what is really cool, we also have some demo projects. We have a Blinky, we have a Hello World. And if I hover over this one here, Get Project, you see you have a couple of options. You can open it in Keil Studio for VS Code, which is the local installation, or in the Keil Studio Cloud, which is the browser version. Or you can download a zip file and then open it later, however you want to do it.
And Christopher, sorry, maybe you were going to go into this, but this does lead into a question. What is the difference, or what is the difference between Keil Studio Cloud versus VS Code and its extensions as an extension?
Well, there is a difference. Basically, Keil Studio Cloud is not based on VS Code, but on the kind of open source sister, brother, whatever, called Thea. Thea is an IDE under the Eclipse Foundation and maintained by the Eclipse Foundation. And we have initially started to use that because VS Code was lacking some web features, basically. You couldn't run it in the browser. It was, at the beginning, it was just a desktop tool. I think they changed that in the meantime. But of course, once you have set up your stuff, then it tends to be sticky. So Keil Studio Cloud is based on Thea. The VS Code extension that we have works in VS Code, but actually they are sharing the same platform. The extensions are, I think, almost the same. So it's not 100%, but let's say 95% the same look and feel if you are in the browser or in the desktop.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So continue. So I just, and because this is really the new stuff, the VS Code extensions, I just say that I want to open it in VS Code, and then VS Code, opens for me here. Just need to place it in the right screen, and then it asks me where I want to download the zip file, and I say just here in projects, select as unzip, and then I want to open a completely new window, and of course it opens it on the other screen. So here it opens the window, and maybe we can first do a quick tour about these new project format files. I think that might be
that'd be great.
So they are YAML based, which is yet another markup language. So, but it's pretty cool because it's very easy to read for humans. Previously, we had always used XML based project formats, and XML is very nice if you want a machine to read it, but if you want to write it yourself, it's a pretty nightmare. So we switched the stuff here to YAML, and you can see we have basically two project files. One is called the C solution YAML, which is kind of the envelope where you define things like the target types and the packs that you are using, and also things for the compiler flags and stuff like that. And in the end, you then tell which projects are you using. And here we are using only one project, but I could, for example, have a multi-project C solution file. Think about, for example, Trust Zone. Yeah, if you have a Trust Zone enabled processor, you always have a secure and a non-secure project. So you can put them in the same envelope in the C solution, and one is the secure and one is the non-secure project. So for the different targets in the end. Yeah. So this is the C solution. And if we are looking at the C project file, this is then actually the actual project file where you tell it about the different C files that you are using, or the different components from the CMSIS packs that you are using. And you can specify different output types, if it's an ELF or a hex or a binary or whatever you want. There are multiple options available.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Talking about maybe VC package, you see, let's start with this configuration file. This is the thing that I was talking about earlier. And by the way, is this big enough or should I make it bigger?
If you could make the font a
Yes.
little bigger. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I also want to, sorry, Michael, did you want to say something?
No.
Oh, I also want to, I also want to remind everyone that, anyone watching, if you have questions for our guest or for us, the co-hosts here, feel free to post them in the chat. And on that note, Christopher, do you mind if we get one question answered here by Hybrid Robotics? Hybrid Robotics is asking, if you install packages with your OS package manager like apt-get, will VC package see and use them?
I think the answer is no.
Yeah.
So you have to use the VC package manager.
Yeah. That makes
So
sense.
keeps your OS packages and your project packages all separate.
Yeah.
Nice and tidy.
And again, also the point is that usually it's not easy to get access to things like, for example, our ARM compiler. So we're actually really hitting some unknown ground here. Previously, you had to go to the download hub, as we call it, and then you have to have an ARM account and you have to enter your details. And sometimes you cannot create an ARM account, and nasty things can happen. So we again, talking about accessibility, it's much easier now with this approach to get that stuff, but you cannot get it with apt-get, for example. So,
but that's huge. That's huge, Christopher. Like, this is a huge achievement. I mean, like, I'm starting to think about it. It's kind of starting to set in here. Is that you have this IDE, VS Studio, you able to just go there, download pieces natively from the platform itself.
Yeah.
And then not only that, detect devices through the web page. Like we talk about the low code, no code. Now I get it. Like you still have to do some coding if you want to write your own projects, but this is just a great way to get up to speed. Well, like lowering that barrier to entry for developers who may be slightly intimidated to get started with something like this.
Well, any removal of boilerplate or tedious setup steps or anything like that is just, it's great. It's much appreciated.
There was a study, Christopher, and I'm sorry for interrupting your demo, but there was a study in terms of users who download applications. You're on your phone, a very simple application on your phone. 70% of users will just uninstall the app and never touch it again if they can't, if they get their password. Like, if they put in they create a password and it says, oh, you can't use that character, people just say, screw it, I'm done. And so, like, the attention span of people, not some people have more than others, but I mean, like, still doesn't matter. Is this
users don't want to get annoyed?
No, users don't want to get annoyed. And this is amazing.
Developers especially don't like to get
annoyed.
We see actually the same. As I said, we introduced the MDK Community Edition with MDK 5 already 1.5 years ago, and due to rules and regulations, let's call it that way, the site where you get the product serial number, which you need to convert it into a license key. So very old school technology and very heavyweight, is kind of protected by the ARM account. So you need, if you want to get that key, you need to have an ARM account to get it. And from our experience, we see that about 60% jump off because they don't want to, can't, or whatever want to have to do with the ARM account. So it is, you need to be open and enable customers and not or users, sorry.
Yeah. Well, they could be customers one day, right? And yeah. I refer to this kind of like method here. I've talked about developer relativity. I don't know if I've talked about it on another stream, but I know I've talked about it with you guys. There's a train moving, and that's the development. All these developers are on this train and they're moving at a certain speed. Well, a developer watching this train go by, they're like, how do I get on that train without slowing it down? Because the developers don't want to slow down that are on the train. They're moving at the pace of that technology. This is the means to get on that train without slowing it down. So I just think it's really cool. You guys have put in some great work here. So yeah, let's continue with the demo.
Yeah. Okay. So just I should quickly. So you have these registries I was talking about. Here's one from Microsoft and our own from ARM. And from Microsoft, we pull basically CMake and Ninja. And from the ARM registry, we pull the compiler and the CMSIS toolbox. And that's it. So, and for example, I mean, it does it normally automatically. If you have a VC package configuration file in your folder, then it automatically enables it. But you can also, you have a right click here and can say, for example, deactivate the environment. And then we have the output here from VC package in the output pane, deactivating. And then I can, of course, again, say activate. And then it checks the JSON file, sees, okay, all the tools are installed already and nothing to do, and activates it. And then I have the tools available. And this is as easy or hard as it gets.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we have this CMSIS button here, and this is actually one thing out of our extension set, where you can then examine this C solution file. So we have just one active solution here. Here we also have just one target type, so there's nothing really to drop down. And now I have to be, I made it a little bit too big, but it's okay. So for the build types, for example, I could switch between debug and release, which has then different settings for the compiler, with debug, without debug. So yeah, and then I can simply hit build, or maybe let's make a clean build. And yeah, 39 files compiled, all fine. And I can then hit on the debug button, and it will start flashing the device. Processor not set. Okay, that's the good old deep demo effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here it asks me which processor I want to do it on, the Cortex M4. Verify, and then for the debugging, I have to tell him which one. And yeah, here we are in main, halted at main, and I can bring up the actual Hello World C file where the magic happens. So it's a very simple Hello World. It prints 10 times the Hello World. You can set a breakpoint here. I can run to the breakpoint. And for example, I can also open the serial, all from within the tool. And if I run it again, I had that already today. Naughty guy. Sorry.
No, we didn't sacrifice any goats this morning. So
yeah, unfortunately, maybe not enough goats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back to debug. Connect to the device. Open the serial console. Here you see already the Hello World once, and it's the printf, and 1 and 2, and so on and so on. So currently, cool. It's a simple run stop debugger, but you can see, for example, local variables like the count here, which number it has, and yeah, have a couple of breakpoints, enable, disable, and do some very basic run-stop debugging stuff. It's currently using the same embedded debugger that we have in the web application, and I mean, this is really cool that even the web version of it enables you to connect to your development board that is connected to your PC. So we're using a really cool technology called Web USB, which enables you to basically connect devices, USB devices, to your browser. And so you get the same access as you see it here on the desktop version. You get the same access also in the web version. Later, we want to exchange the debugger here for the desktop version for a more capable version that then has also trace capabilities and all the glorious stuff that the hardware, the ARM hardware, basically the core side debug hardware enables you.
Cool. So Alpha on our Discord channel had a question. They were asking, is it possible to select one exact version from the package? Let's say the new ARM compiler will be ARM 7, but I want to stick at ARM compiler 6. Is it possible?
Yeah. So you see the numbers here, the version numbers here, and this little thing here tells that I want to use at least 2.0-0.
Yeah.
But if you leave that out, then it will just take exactly 2.0-0.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty cool. So either you can use the latest and greatest, or you pin it to one specific version. Of course, I mean that's bread and butter for embedded developers, that you don't change your compiler while you are creating your stuff. Once you are satisfied with it, then you wouldn't change it anymore, especially not maybe 1 week before the release. And suddenly, with the number, you actually control which version you are using.
Alpha, hopefully that answers your question in Discord. And Christopher, I believe you're in the Discord server, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I have your handle. Alpha, worst case scenario, if it didn't answer your question, because we do only have about 9 minutes left on the stream, Christopher might be able to get back to you in Discord and clarify it a little further, or we can of course get the answer from him and bring it to you next week on the show or during office hours as well, right?
Yeah, that's definitely something we need to encourage.
Yeah. Cool. So was there anything left to the demo? I don't want to rush you or anything. We have plenty of time. So
yeah, I mean, one cool thing maybe about the CMSIS packs, and this is maybe something that I didn't touch on before. People who are not familiar with that, what is CMSIS packs or a CMSIS pack? And this is basically again kind of a packaging technology. A CMSIS pack is nothing more, nothing less than a zip file, just called pack.pack, and it has an XML-based description file in it. And we invented actually 10 years ago, and that was the time when we were using XML. So sorry for that, guys. But these XML description files, they basically contain in a machine-readable format all the information about the pack. So, for example, is it a device family pack, which gives you the device support for the Cortex M4 in the K32L3A6, or is it a board support pack that adds some board-specific stuff, gives you all the pinout and whatnot, or is it a pure software pack, like for example our MDK middleware, which is a set of TCP/IP stack, USB stack, file system, and the likes. And especially for software, you have then in a pack things called software components, and this is basically behind this thing here. And now I might need to go a little smaller again, because otherwise.
Yeah, that's all right.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So the software components, where you actually then can see here which ones are selected. So in this example, we use CMSIS Core, this is the absolutely basic requirement. You have always CMSIS Core, and this is how CMSIS started 13, 15 years ago, where we defined how to access the processor core and the processor core peripherals. And we are using our RTOS here, the Keil RTX5. We are using from the CMSIS compiler, for example, IO, standard IO. This we are using to do the redirection to the UART for this printf debugging. And from the device, we are using a couple of components, like header and system files or some drivers. Of course, we need to set up the clock somehow. We need the driver for the low power UART on the device, and so on and so forth. And magic happens if I deselect a component that is required. Then suddenly the validation thing on the right hand side tells me, oh, the serial manager UART has dependencies and it requires a LP UART component. And so I click on it, I get there, and if I enable it, then the problem goes away. So this is a really cool system to manage the dependencies between software components. Once you select one, the system will check the XML-based description. Is there a requirement for this one? Do I need to enable something else? If it's just a checkbox, yes or no, then you can even basically let the system do an auto-resolve. If you have, of course, a choice, then you need to select one. Yeah. If you had, let's say, different UARTs, then you need to select the one you want to use. But if it's just one LP UART, you can just say apply, and it does the resolution automatically. So
we don't even need documentation anymore, Christopher. It's you fixed everything.
No, this all really makes getting started with development so easy. Especially that web USB stuff. I've never seen anybody using that the way the Keil stuff is doing it. The fact that you can just plug in a device, your browser will say, "Oh, this is what it is. Here's what you need to, start developing for it." And I wanted to ask you a question on that. If you had chosen the Keil Studio Cloud for that, does that mean that all the compilers and stuff is all running in the cloud? You don't even have to have that installed locally?
Correct. So the Keil Studio Cloud is a complete web application. You need a Chromium-based browser for that. You open the web page, and all the magic happens then on our server. So the compiler is installed there, all the tools you need. There's nothing that you need apart from that, from the browser, basically.
That's amazing. Because that's always the intimidation thing for me is, okay, I have to get all these compilers working, all these configs, the editor, tell it all about the board. Now you plug the board in, and you click a button on the website, you write some code, and it'll build it and send it to your device again. That, I am just blown away by how easy that is.
Yeah,
we can give it a try.
Oh, we're gonna try it out, because I also have another question here. If we can just knock this one out of the way first. What are the licensing terms? And we kind of talked about this earlier in the episode, but maybe you could define it a little bit better, because developers are going to be coming in and saying okay, I'm going to go use this. And then at what point do I maybe need to buy a license?
I mean, the community edition is a non-commercial license. So if you start making money with it, then we ask you for a share. Let's put it that way. But if it's for your hobby project, if you are a student at a university and need to do some work, or if you are an academic creating a course or whatever, it's absolutely free and no charge required. Later in the year, we will have the paid for version. So in MDK5, we already had Essential Plus and Pro. It looks like we will have less editions in the future, but there are then definitely, commercial editions where you need to pay a charge, but only if you make money with it.
I think that covers it. That's perfect. Good to know. All right, so Chris, we do need to hustle on this one a little bit. We have a couple minutes left, but I think we can get through it. It's good, right?
Oh, I think so.
All right. So what were we going to look at here?
So this is now the I don't want that. This is now the online version. So you see it's studio.keil.arm.com. So this is Keil Studio Cloud, and I just need to find. I have so many different projects. So you see it automatically opens the README file for the project that I have just imported. And it says no hardware detected. Let's do the detection. Add device, dap link, connect. Here we are. Freedom K32 detected. If you go back here, then it tells me the serial number and whatsoever, but it already knows the build target, the connected, and okay, it's not in the Windows version of Chrome. You always have a little USB button. Then in this tab here, where you see, okay, there's a USB device connected to this. Obviously not in the Mac version. I don't know, or maybe it's a new thing. I don't know. But you see, when you have this green bubble here, then you know that your target is connected to the browser, and that's as easy as that.
Nice. Connected. Like online, like the online, what is it? When you see your friends online on a messenger.
Yeah, exactly.
Very simple. Very simple. Yeah, no, the brain already connects it, like it's yeah.
And you see it has built the stuff, then it downloads the hex file, and either you do the drag and drop, or we can also again do the programming. But yeah, it's the same, and I think we're out of time. But
yes.
I mean,
that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what we could do though, Christopher? It might be worthwhile. One of us can come up with a demo. We can invite you back on, and then you can judge us. Yeah, that'd be pretty fun. We'll get Reinhard on here too, so you'll have a committee of judges, and then Michael and Gabe will compete against each other to see who made the coolest demo.
That's
no fair.
Michael and Gabe, huh? Not Robert.
What?
Michael and Gabe, not Robert.
Yeah.
No. I'm on the judging panel. I'm on the judging panel too.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. No, I'll contribute. I'll contribute, of course. But yeah, so Christopher, gosh, I mean, this has just been great. I love it when people show up with demos. It's very nice. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Is there any last thoughts or things, a shameless plug you'd like to add into this before we kind of close this episode out?
Shameless plug is, of course, go to keil.arm.com and test it for yourself. Yeah, plug in your board, give it a try.
Keil.arm.com, and then share it with us on Discord. I mean, like, show us the cool stuff you've built. There's a few forums on there. There's a show and tell. There's a developer forum. If you have any issues, make sure you ping one of the developer evangelists. Maybe we get you connected in there with Christopher. Try to help you out. There's the link down below, Keil.arm.com. And everything mentioned in today's episode will, of course, be included in the description. So for anyone watching on demand, you want to go explore the stuff we've been talking about, all of those links should be available in the description below. Christopher, thank you so much. This has been great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. If you wouldn't mind just hanging around for just a few minutes when we close this out, and we can maybe have a quick conversation in the green room afterwards. Awesome. Gabe, Michael, last words before I close it out.
I mean, the usual: sign up for a developer program if you haven't already. Join our Discord. Look at our Reddit. ARM software, r/ARM software dev.
I think we need like a link tree, just put the link.
Yeah, we've got so many now. We really should.
Yeah, and it's gonna keep growing. Yeah.
All right. Well, there it is. When you do sign up for the ARM developer program, though, you get access to the Discord as well. So you'll get an email automated as soon as you sign up for that. Join the Discord. Now, we do have a huge portfolio. You want to really stay in touch with us. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us here on YouTube regularly every Thursday at 5 p.m. UTC. You can find us on the Discord doing our stages, events, office hours every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. You can also find us on Reddit. Like Gabe said, we have an official subreddit. We'd love to see you folks contributing any projects you're building there. If you have a blog you've written, anything that has to do with ARM, the things you're doing on ARM, the entire ecosystem of developers are welcome to participate in here. And we're there to kind of collaborate with you as well. So if we find something that you're doing that we love, we want to help you out as well. This is the new thing we talked about earlier in the episode, ARM Developer Hub. So arm.com. Yeah. And Christopher vouches for this. What is it? Endorsed by Christopher Zeidel. Yeah. So we have a great new developer hub. This only launched like, what was it? Less than a month ago.
Yeah. It's like 3 weeks or something.
Yeah. 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's already got a bunch of learning paths and ways for the community to collaborate and contribute together. So this is a very new thing for us. And we think it's going to be amazing. We think it already is amazing, but it's going to be more amazing with you all from the community contributing as well. All right, there we go. There you have it. I'm going to shut this down. Let me get the branding set up here so we can do our outro. Thank you everyone for joining. A special thank you to Christopher here for being our featured guest today. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Michael, for your time. Everyone watching, whether you're watching live or on demand, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the ARM Software Developers YouTube channel, and we hope to see you in a future episodes and or around our developer ecosystem. Thank you. Have a good day. Great week. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.